Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, there's a triumphant homecoming for the Lions as Senegal's national squad returns from its victory over Egypt at the Africa Cup of Nations. Also, fears of a humanitarian crisis in Madagascar after Cyclone Batsirai leaves devastation in its wake. 21 people at least have been killed and tens of thousands displaced just a month after the country struggled with a tropical storm that cost at least 55 lives. And South African police were not prepared to deal with deadly riots that followed the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma on contempt of court charges last year. The panel of the country's findings concluded that there were significant intelligence lapses in tackling violence that left hundreds dead. But first, thousands of Senegalese turned out to welcome home their victorious team on Monday after the Lions returned as champions of the Africa Cup of Nations. Fans chanted the names of star players and coach Aliou Cissé for leading the squad to victory over Egypt. Joseph Keane has more.
Senegal's players arrived triumphant in Dakar on Monday following Sunday's historic win. The Lions of Teranga won their first ever African Cup of Nations title. They beat seven-time winners Egypt on penalties. Captain Kalidou Koulibaly and head coach Aliou Cissé lifted the cup with President Macky Sall.
Here you have reached the heights of Africa. Due to your fighting spirit, because of your talent, your commitment, you have given us the pride and honor that is the mark of great people.
On leaving the airport, huge crowds of fans welcomed the squad on the streets of the capital. Following years of underachievement, the West African nation finally won the continent's most prestigious prize in football.
We are really happy with this win because we've been waiting for it for a long time. They've made history. Now, thanks to them, we will go down in the history of football.
We're really happy. We're proud of our Lions.
On Sunday night, celebrations erupted in Dakar and also in the French capital, Paris. Aliou Cissé's team will be hoping to repeat their triumph at the next AFCON tournament in 2023 in the Ivory Coast.
And huge crowds also turned out in Morocco, but the mood was somber. Hundreds mourned as 5-year-old Ryan was laid to rest in the northern region of Chefchaouen on Monday, just a few kilometers away from where he lost his life in a tragic accident. The little boy spent 5 days trapped down a well and, despite a complex rescue operation, did not survive. Millions hoped for his safe return as crews painstakingly tried to excavate without triggering a landslide. Rescue workers did finally reach him on Saturday, but not long afterwards, the news of his death was made public. The EU and US have raised the alarm about multiplying reports of alleged torture and forced disappearances by Uganda's security forces. Monday's statements were in response to images of the scarred body of award-winning writer Kakwenza Rukira-Bahija, who says that he was abused during his weeks in detention in the country. He was charged with offensive communication for making unflattering tweets about President Yoweri Museveni and his son late last year. Last month, a magistrate ordered his release, but on Monday, a court refused his application to have his case moved to a higher court and for the return of his passport so that he could travel to Kenya for medical treatment. And hundreds of hectares of forest have been destroyed in a fire that's raged for 2 days in Kenya's Aberdare National Park. Helicopters conducted aerial surveys as dozens of firefighters and rangers struggled to control the blaze after it first broke out on Saturday. It was finally extinguished on Monday. The park boasts spectacular jungle and waterfalls and is home to a variety of endangered wildlife. Now, South African police were caught short by fatal riots that followed the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma last year. The findings of a government-appointed panel looking into the deadliest unrest the country saw in decades found that there were significant intelligence lapses and a lack of resources to respond to the violence. More than 350 people were killed and about 180 million euros worth of damage done to the economy. Nadine Theron joins us now with more. So, Nadine, Give us a bit more of an insight into the specifics of the inquiry's conclusions.
Well, as you said, the report said that the state security forces actually failed in their role to protect South Africans. And part of that was also that the police failed. Apparently, the police officers who were deployed were ill-equipped physically and not trained either to tackle or to handle this situation. There was also a lot of confusion with state security forces because state security is not supposed to be involved with politics, but in this situation, the unrest and the riots emerged because of a political situation. And that was one of the interesting things of the report. It said that it was because of the instability within the ruling party of the African National Congress that this actually happened. And it shows that the politics within and the factionalism in the African National Congress actually has become a serious source of instability in the entire country. One of the other concerning things was that it's unclear whether the National Security Council has actually learned anything from the devastating riots and whether there's been any talks or an analysis of what happened or, a new plan or the draw up of a new state security plan. None of that has happened as far as the panelists are concerned. And they just say that very little has actually changed since that happened, and we could actually face similar unrest of a similar scale in future if again some political instability leads to people's frustrations. They also named some reasons behind what they think could have led to the unrest, but the reasons are basic socio-economical reasons in South Africa: people being poor, frustrated, COVID-19, state capture. So they didn't actually name the Jacob Zuma arrest as a direct cause of the unrest, but we know that it certainly contributed it precluded it. And at the end, the panel said that they recommend President Cyril Ramaphosa actually draws up a plan now of how to deal with it if a thing like this ever happens again, since they're not sure if the National Security Council is doing that.
Thanks very much, Nadine Theron, there for us in South Africa. Now, at least 20 people were killed by Cyclone Batsirai as it moved through Madagascar. 55,000 people were forced from their homes and key agricultural land was devastated, leading the UN to warn of a humanitarian crisis. Laurent Berstecker tells us more.
Collapsed buildings and uprooted trees dotted the streets of Majanjari as stunned residents awoke to a city in ruins. A day after the destructive passage of Cyclone Batsirai, they were trying to salvage what they could from the rubble.
All our houses were destroyed. Water started rising from the sea and the river, and all the houses collapsed. We were really scared.
The cyclone made landfall on the east coast of Madagascar Saturday evening, bringing winds of up to 160 kilometers per hour. And while it largely avoided major cities as it moved inland, the storm caused massive flooding in the center of the country, completely destroying harvests in a region where Madagascar grows the majority of its rice. International organizations warned this could aggravate an existing humanitarian crisis in a country already plagued by malnutrition and famine.
The effects of the cyclone won't end today. They will be felt for many months. Let's not forget that Madagascar is also going through a drought in the south and the COVID-19 pandemic that is affecting its economy.
The cyclone also damaged the island's main road, hampering the delivery of humanitarian aid and cutting off some of the hardest hit areas. Another blow for a country still reeling from the impact of Tropical Storm Anna, which swept through Madagascar in late January.
Many Cameroonians are resentful over a new tax on electronic money transactions, which went into effect at the start of the year. It's been met with stiff resistance and dubbed regressive by critics. Our correspondents report.
Bonjour. Every week, Christian comes to this mobile money operator in Douala. This time, the transaction will cost him 0.2% more than usual, but he has no choice.
It's the only way for us to be fast and efficient. I feel penalized by this new tax, of course. Every time there's a CFA franc added on, it's another penalty.
Only about a third of Cameroonians are believed to have bank accounts, and mobile money is hugely popular as mobile phone use rises. Even so, The number of electronic transactions has already dropped sharply since the new law was brought into force on the 1st of January.
I used to make 50,000 in commissions. Now I get half of that. It's really gone down. People don't do transactions like they used to. Even people who come to do transactions of 100,000 ask me how much it costs, and I say 2,000. They say it's too expensive.
The government is hoping the controversial new tax will give a quick boost to state coffers. It's expected to rake in around 20 billion CFA francs a year, a little over 30 million euros.
Cameroon is technically under structural adjustment, and the state does not have enough resources to meet its needs, especially to repay its debts. This is an easy option.
The charge has sparked a backlash. Critics say the government is penalizing the poorest and is slowing down financial inclusion and the development of a digital economy in a country where the internet penetration rate stood at 34% in 2021.
Bonjour, madame.
This organization is recommending that a tax be levied directly on telecommunications companies.
What we're suggesting is that this tax be paid by the telephone operators. It's not their core business. They're supposed to bring internet and phone services.
The new law applies to all electronic money transactions, but exempts bank transfers and transfers for the payment of other taxes, duties, and levies. According to the Bank of Central African States, electronic money transactions registered in Cameroon in 2020 stood at over 12.1 trillion francs CFA.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us, and do so again if you can. Take care.